What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's WWE news video, there is quite a bit to talk about, including the latest on WWE signing a TNA stable. Perhaps. The Undertaker potentially becoming a victim of the Fiend, as well as WWE bringing back a superstar that was released back in April, and also this first one that I'm going to be talking about in today's video, a huge potential match for WrestleMania 37 next year. So let's actually talk about that. So shout outs to Andy Murray from What Culture for this article. All four articles are indeed off of What Culture, so big shout outs to them. And shout outs to Andy Murray for this article. And let's take a look. Speculation emanating from last night's WWE's Raw. So this was from this past week. From this past week's Raw suggests next year could see Asuka becoming the latest woman to headline WrestleMania. Byron Saxton dropped a line about Raw's match between women's champion Asuka and Nia Jax being WrestleMania main event worthy, which according to Fightful Select was a deliberate instruction relayed to Saxton from those putting the script together. It was an ad-lib. It was an ad-lib. It wasn't an ad-lib. WWE wanted to make sure Byron got this point across on air. Asuka ended up defeating Jax via DQ as a result of interference from Shayna Baszler. There's no word on who WWE may have the Empress of Tomorrow face off with at WrestleMania, though the comment is interesting nonetheless. Asuka is currently in her second reign as Raw Women's Champion, having reclaimed it from Sasha Banks at SummerSlam. Her run has brought successful defenses against Lana, Zelina Vega, Mickie James, and Banks thus far. WrestleMania 37's location is currently pegged to be held at Tampa, Florida's Raymond James Stadium, having originally been scheduled for the new SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. This comes following WrestleMania 36's move from the Raymond James Stadium to the Performance Center at the onset of the pandemic. So, Asuka versus Nia Jax main event of WrestleMania. Honestly, that wouldn't be so bad. Asuka being in the main event of next year's WrestleMania, I think that would be awesome for her because, well, she has actually main evented a couple of pay-per-views in the past, actually, truth be told. In fact, I think she main evented. She was in the main event of the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match back in 2018, which I think was in Philly, if I remember correctly. I think it was in Philly, if I remember right. So this is pretty cool. One thing I will say though is that it's very rare, especially in WWE. It's very rare that women will be able to main event a Raw, a SmackDown, or even a pay-per-view for that matter. Just because it's mostly the men that have main evented, but obviously we all know women have taken over wrestling entirely. Obviously we had the first ever all women's pay-per-view, which was known as Evolution, which I actually did a prediction video and a result video for, which you guys can definitely check out if you have not already. Let's see. We had not one but two Mae Young Classic tournaments. The first one was won by Kairi Sane. The second one was won by Toni Storm, actually, who is now in NXT. So honestly, I think this will be great for Asuka. I think if she were to hold on to the title until WrestleMania, that would be huge. As far as her opponent, honestly, the possibilities are endless. I mean, it could be Nia Jax. It could be Nikki Cross. It could even also be Alexa Bliss, which is a possibility. But given the fact that she's with the Fiend, it's kind of hard to say. But That again, epic news. That's actually huge news. Huge news. Which actually brings me to my question of the day. Which actually brings me to my question of the day. Who do you think Asuka should face at WrestleMania next year? Let me know in the comments below. That's the question of the day. Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so let's see. Where is that other article I wanted to bring up? No, that wasn't it. Here we are. Could The Undertaker be The Fiend's next victim? Okay, so obviously we know at Survivor Series, The Undertaker will be saying his final farewell, because apparently this is where apparently he's gonna retire. From what I know, he's gonna retire in full at Survivor Series. And shout outs to Luca Carbonaro from What Culture for this particular article. Bray Wyatt has stirred speculation that he is set to confront The Undertaker in the near future after WWE made a post on Twitter listing all of The Undertaker's past enemies. The former Universal Champion sent a chilling warning, saying, "Not quite all." Literally saying not quite all. Mentioning, saying from Drew McIntyre to Bray Wyatt, The Undertaker has battled them all. And he says, and Bray Wyatt says, not quite all. Obviously mentioning his alter ego, The Fiend. Wyatt, again, yeah, so Wyatt was probably referring to his alter ego, The Fiend, who's been on a roll since last year, and is now focused primarily on Monday Night Raw with Alexa Bliss. Wyatt and Taker faced off at WrestleMania 31 in a match won by the latter, which again was won by The Undertaker, but many fans would like to see The Fiend involved. We know that the upcoming edition of Survivor Series is going to revolve around Undertaker's 30th anniversary of his debut and has been described as his final farewell. A perfect occasion for The Fiend to make a statement and rise to the top. If The Fiend really interrupts The Undertaker at Survivor Series, the situation could lead to a potential match at next year's WrestleMania and let the dead man finally retire in front of an actual crowd. Hopefully, and not on a documentary. WWE's last ride concluded with The Undertaker seemingly say that he's got no desire to get back into the ring at the point, and he's basically retired. But as always happens in the world of wrestling, nobody stays retired for long. Ask Shawn Michaels. Ha! That was pretty funny. That was pretty funny with what they did there. Yeah, so obviously when it comes to WWE, hardly anybody retires. Hogan's been there before, Ric Flair's been there before, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, now and of course to The Undertaker. But what's interesting about this is that I remember watching all of the vignettes that featured Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker. Bray Wyatt calling out The Undertaker, bringing in the casket and the Druids and all that. Mocking the Undertaker and just basically just humiliating him, disrespecting him. But when The Undertaker came back at WrestleMania 31, at I think it was Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, which is actually just up the road from where I'm at here in Woodland Hills, here in the Valley. It's like maybe a 3-hour drive, I'd say, but yeah, when we saw the Undertaker return, obviously Undertaker dominated that match. He came back stronger than ever, and obviously from that point forward, we saw him in quite a few matches actually. Obviously against guys like Brock Lesnar. I think against the Fiend was. Yeah, wait. Was it Bray Wyatt? Yeah, against Bray Wyatt and I think Luke Harper. Teaming up with Kane. and then of course too, competing in the 2017 Royal Rumble match, going up against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania that year. It was incredible. It was incredible. But again, I don't think it would be wise for I honestly don't know if that would be wise for the Fiend to do it. I mean, obviously, yes, it's just a tease, but you never know. You never know. It could potentially happen. But one thing I will say though is that if it does happen, then the match will most likely take place at WrestleMania. It is a possibility, but never say never. Never say never. All right, you guys. I was gonna talk about I was gonna talk about something else. That was what, 2? That was 2, I think, wasn't it? Hang on. Oh, I almost forgot about the released Superstar. So you know what? I was gonna bring. You know what? I think I'll talk about that right now. You know what? I'll talk about that. But there was one last thing. There was something else that I just found. So I will be talking about that here in a second. But again, shoutouts to Andy Murray for this article. But according to what he writes, apparently WWE is potentially interested in bringing back No Way Jose to WWE. Obviously, you guys know he was released from his contract back on April 15th earlier this year. Obviously, alongside Rusev, who is now, I think, Miro, I guess, I don't know. Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Eric Young, Eric Rowan, Aiden English as well, just to name a few. Apparently, according to several reports, he's supposed to apparently he's gonna be making a comeback. But if he does come back, he'll probably end up back in NXT. So I just wanted to bring that up. Which honestly, I'm not so sure. I mean, yes, sure. No Way Jose was really entertaining, but he didn't really do any. He didn't do a whole lot in WWE. He hardly did anything at all. And I think for him to go back to NXT where his career started, I think is better. I think that'd be the wise thing for him. So, alright, you guys, now WWE potentially bringing in a faction known as the Rascals. Yeah, if you guys don't know, I stopped watching TNA. I think it was like back in 2016 or something like that. I stopped watching back then, back then. So let's take a look. So shoutouts to Andy Murray for this article. The Rascals could be heading to WWE after departing Impact Wrestling last week. Or next week. Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, and Trey Miguel are on their way out of the Anthem Sports and Entertainment Hell promotion, as announced on this week's show. In storyline, the trio are being evicted from their treehouse. Their last match will see Trey team with the current Impact World Champion Rich Swann. Wow, really? Rich Swann's in TNA? Who knew? To face the more established tandem of Dez and Wentz, whose old Scarlet and Graves tag team predates them signing with Impact. The WWE talk stems for an exclusive report penned by Wrestling Inc.'s Raj Giri. I just completely butchered that name, so yeah, I am deeply sorry. Who notes that the trio are currently working as free agents. They have a standing offer from WWE that hasn't officially been signed yet. Though this is described as a formality and it's expected that they will end up in WWE. Wentz, Xavier, and Miguel have been an Impact trio since 2018, so well over a couple of years now. Though they were never able to win the promotion's tag team titles during their run there. Trey was in the world title picture earlier this year, competing for the title at a pay-per-view called Slammiversary, and the following episode of Impact TV. Okay, so I don't know much about this trio, but judging by how, judging by their looks, by their gear and whatnot, they could be a pretty cool tandem to be in WWE. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them go up against like fat stables like possibly the New Day or whatnot. That could be interesting. It could be interesting. They may end up being singles competitors, but we will see. Alright, you guys. That being said, there was one last thing that I wanted to bring up, and this is breaking news because I just saw this on here on the laptop. Breaking news. Ow, my neck. And what is that breaking news? Well, if it'll go, thank you. Breaking news: WWE looking at changing WrestleMania date. It could be pushed back in later 2021. Breaking news. So shout outs to Andrew Poller for this article. Was it Andrew Poller? Yeah. Shout outs to Andrew Poller for this article. At present, WrestleMania 37 is booked in for March 28th, 2021. But there's now rumblings that WWE could be set to change the date of its annual showcase of the Immortals. Courtesy of the ever-reliable WrestleVotes, WWE has held discussions about pushing WrestleMania 37 back by a few weeks. To be precise, these eternal talks center on moving WrestleMania to either April 11th or 18th. This all resolves around WWE being desperate to have fans in attendance for WrestleMania 37. Seemingly, the belief of WWE brass is that by postponing the granddaddy of them all by a week or two means they'll be able to cram a stadium full of fans. At present, WrestleMania 37 is scheduled to emanate from Inglewood, California's SoFi Stadium. If recent rumblings are to be believed, though, it's more likely that WrestleMania 37 will end up taking place from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Whether the problems of 2020 will have gone away by April of next year remains to be seen. And likewise, it seems unlikely that WWE will be able to hold a packed WrestleMania by that point either, but we'll just have to wait and see. Honestly, this one doesn't really surprise me, given the fact that that this is actually the first time that WrestleMania is going to be held back a few weeks. That's actually a first time ever deal. That's a first time. That's a big first. But if they do push it back by a couple weeks, honestly, that would really hurt. That would really hurt the card itself, because again, it was supposed to be held at SoFi Stadium here in California, but now that might not be possible. And again too, now that we have a brand new president, now that we just elected a new president, which a congrats is in order to the new president. It remains to be seen as to whether or not we'll be able to have WrestleMania at SoFi, or whether we're going to be holding it at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. But honestly, this really doesn't surprise me. But you never know. You never know what can happen. It may be held on the 28th. It may be held. It may be pushed back. Who the hell knows? But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Again, question of the day: who should Asuka face at WrestleMania? The link is down. Sorry, not the link. And answer the question in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys love seeing these types of news videos for WWE and for YuGiOh, definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links are down in the description below. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.